Good morning and welcome to Prepper Talk Radio. As usual,
Good morning.
Mr. PrepperCon Scott, and we've got Shane, the prepared guy in studio. As always,
Happy to be here.
it is so good to
As
have us
always.
both here.
Welcome, welcome.
When it's one of us, it's not as fun. So,
Not nearly as much fun.
but
Not
I'm
even
glad we're
close.
here.
And I'm glad you're here. And I hate that traffic can get in the way.
Oh my gosh, I almost didn't make it. There was a nasty wreck on the 215 southbound coming out of North Salt Lake. Crews had it almost cleared up by the time I finally got through there, but it took me another 15 minutes just to get to work today. So, not fun.
I'm always here extra early just in case.
Yeah, well, I usually am here a little early
Yeah.
just in case, but hey, I'm here. That's all that matters.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
you guys are listening to K-Talk. K-Talk Media is our new website. So go to ktalkmedia.com. You can get the news, the weather. In fact, it's actually a nice 52 degrees outside today. I don't know where winter is, but it's not coming.
Oh my goodness.
Haven't had any snow yet. We're expecting some tomorrow.
Yep. I've got a few more things to do to get ready before the snow flies.
There you go.
I gotta make sure the gutters are clean again.
Oh,
You just have to do that
crap.
a couple times in the fall. Yeah, there you go, Scott.
I
Your
gotta put that
house.
back on the list.
Yeah, and then I'm going to walk the roof again with a tube of caulk, make sure all the penetrations, all the flashings and such are caulked down nice, and don't have to worry about any leaks during the winter.
Nice.
And I
I
got
did that a few months ago, so I'm good.
Yeah, then I got to take the tramp down. Take
Oh.
the tramp down, put it away for the winter.
I'm leaving mine up. It's garbage anyways.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for it to just disintegrate.
I
so
want
can
mine to
throw it away.
last as absolutely long as possible. Take that down for the winter.
Well, hey guys, we've got a fun show for you today. I want to let you know, as always, it is brought to you by Survival Medical, survivalmedical.com. And actually, they're going to be at the Utah Prepared Fest this weekend in St. George. So if you know anyone in St. George that needs to get better prepared, send them on over. It's going to be at the Red Lion down off of, I believe it's Broadway. But it's down at the south end of St. George. I'll be there as well, so you can come meet me, say hi. I'll be at the Vital Domes tent. And actually, I'll be bouncing back and forth between that and Survival Medical. So,
Cool. I'm not coming down, Scott. Sorry.
oh man, almost had you. But we'll be down there this weekend. It's there Wednesday it's Wednesdays today. It'll be open Friday from 3 to 9 or 3 to 6, and Saturday from 10 to 6. So swing on by. You'll see a giant dome out in the front yard, and that's where the entrance is.
Very nice. Well, hey, I had a question for you before we get started here.
Go for
And
it.
not just for you, for all of our listeners. And for me, and this comes from my personal life, I guess, there's a lot of things that are confusing out there. There's a lot of topics, did you worry about who are you going to vote for? I mean, do you worry about different decisions you're going to make in your life about whether you're going to bug out or whether you're going to bug in? We talked about that a little bit last week. I assume, and for me, there's a lot of questions constantly going around in my mind, and things aren't always black and white. They should be, but they aren't. So my question is to you, what things are blurry? What lines are fuzzy? What are you concerned about? Have you made those important decisions? And I guess that's really what our show is about today, is not only for you, but for us, for Scott and I, to kind of talk through a lot of these important questions that really are kind of difficult questions. I guess that's the right way to put it. And what we're going to do today is we have in front of us I guess it's technically a card game. It's called Conflicted. And there are several different versions of this game. And basically it asks us hard questions. And that's, of course, the title of it. Are you conflicted? And so we're going to ask these questions. We'd love to hear what your responses are. They may be very off the wall. We'd love to hear them. Even for us, they're going to be hard to answer. And they require a lot of thought. But we're going to try and stick by the rules of the game and by exactly what the question on these cards say, and try not to deviate and throw in too many variables, but go by exactly what the situation is on the card, and try to answer that as best as possible. We'd love to hear your answers. Of course, 801-254-5855 is the call-in line. Scott, did you want to start, or did you want me to start with one?
Let's have you start.
All right, cool. All right, so this is basically a deck of cards is what it is. A deck of cards. It's like face cards, and on one side you've got a picture of a guy in a respirator and a full face mask. He's got a gun in his hand. He's got the rope around his shoulder. And on the other side is the six of spades. And here's the question on the card. and would love to hear your comments.
So if you want to call in, feel free to do so and take these questions as well. But first one's coming to me.
Okay, yes, this is for you, Scott. Okay, nuclear blasts destroyed the modern infrastructure, and your family, along with the family of close friends, are living off foraging the countryside. Every person is barely getting anything to eat, including the children, and deaths from starvation have begun among the weak. While searching for food, you come across a bush with a few handfuls of berries on it. It isn't enough food for the entire group, but it could be a feast for you and your immediate family. Would you obey the rules and distribute the few berries you have with everyone in your group, or would you break the rules and secretly feed the berries to your family?
Okay, if you want to call in and answer this as well, I'm going to answer it, but if you want to call in and answer it, dial in 801-254-5855.
And this may take a while for you guys to ponder and come up with an answer, so feel free to call later on in the show and refer to whichever card we were talking about and what you would do.
So everyone's starving. I'm obviously skinny at this point.
Right. It's in a group, and so everybody's kind of sharing.
I kind of have to go back to the rules of the group. I mean, that's what's going to keep us alive. And so for me, it's kind of an easy one because I've thought about these types of scenarios, and it's distribute it to the group.
You would take it and distribute it to the group.
Because most likely I'd be in a leadership position, first of all, and I'd have to make sure that I maintain the group.
Yeah, that's a great point of view.
Psychology, the group mentality, trying to help everyone stay alive and do the best I can. So not that I'll be the sole leader because I don't like that idea, but being part of the group leadership, definitely distribute out to the team. I mean, everyone's going to just get a little bit, but that could be a huge morale booster to have some real nice fruit, even if it's just one berry.
And especially you in a leadership position, everybody's going to look to you. Oh wow, they could have eaten this. Your trust is going to be built within the group. You're going to be trusted, and your leadership is going to grow within that group. I think that's absolutely the right answer. I think that's extremely difficult. I mean, we've all been hungry, at a certain point.
Oh yeah,
and
I've
kind
snuck
of
the
compromise?
Oreos.
Oh,
I've snuck the stuff.
I still
especially
do.
as a kid.
Yep.
Well, I did last night. My wife's like, "What are you eating?" And I'm all, "My food." She's like,
Food?
"Are you eating Oreos?" I'm like, "Absolutely." And
Yep. So yeah, what's really the difference between finding a great raspberry bush and just picking them down yourself? Whether it's for you, your kids, or your family, or just yourself. That's a and I think in order to fully comprehend this, you have to get yourself hungry.
Oh, yeah.
You've got to be hungry. You've got to fast or whatever you want to call that, and try to resist.
Well, the hardest part is when you have kids.
Oh, yeah.
Seeing your child
suffering,
starving,
Yep.
suffering.
That's a tough decision.
That's
right
going to
there.
be the hardest part. I don't have kids yet, so it's easy for me to say I'm giving it to the group. But when I have kids, that may be a complete game changer.
Yeah.
I might be like, I'm sorry, but my kids
They come first. I mean, and that's really the truth. Is family comes first, group comes second.
But if you look in nature, that's a falsehood. Now, if you look in nature, you look at the animals, you look at who takes care of who first. Mama bear feeds herself
That's
first.
true. That's
Because
true,
if
she
Mama
does.
bear doesn't eat,
But the cubs don't eat.
everybody dies,
Yeah, that's right.
right? She's got to be strong to be able to keep everybody going and protect
Yeah, that's a
everybody
good point.
and find and forage for more food because the babies don't know what to do. Here, it's kind of interesting as humans. We're like, I watch mothers sacrifice time and time again. They won't eat, they won't sleep, because they've got to take care of the baby.
They want
The
to
baby
take care of
comes
themselves.
first,
Yeah, absolutely.
and they'll let themselves go. I'm not talking beauty, let themselves go. I'm talking let their health go because they're missing meals.
Yeah,
They'll forget. Oh, I forgot to eat.
Exactly.
And I don't know how people do that because I'm just not wired that way.
That's my wife right there. She's so busy with the kids and the house that, I forgot to eat. It's 4:00 in the afternoon. I didn't even eat breakfast.
Yeah.
Now I feel terrible.
And I'm
So-
thinking, you haven't even had breakfast? I'm like, I'm on my second lunch.
So there's another aspect, I guess, is when you're in a group and you're trying to take care of the group, your mentality is going to completely change. I would think. I mean, it'd be more like a family, and maybe your group is mostly family. So, and that's the way it is for me, and I know that's the way it is for you too.
It's going to be that way for most of the people
Yeah.
in Utah. There's a few people that have, and I don't name any names because they need their security, but there's a few groups that I know of that are like very dedicated, hardcore, focused on a team, and they're all from different walks of life, and none of them are related.
They're not related.
But they've kind of found each other and they work together, and I think, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. And that's another thing we need to talk about in the future. Take another show is talking about prepping groups and how this all takes into account. All right, should we jump to another one?
Yes.
All right, cool.
So this one's tough. Someone in your inner circle of trusted friends, and if you want to answer this question, call in at 801-254-5855. So one of your inner circle of friends, someone you trust, has committed an unforgivable act that only you are a witness to. They don't know you're aware of what happened, and you decide death is the proper punishment for what they did. There's no other way. Would you take care of them secretly or discuss their fate with others and burden them as well?
I think my initial reaction is to take care of it privately and secretly. I guess it really depends on what that offense is, but going by the rules and going by the card, I would probably say right off the bat, I would take care of it in private. I believe people deserve second chances, third chances for I guess depending on how egregious it was and the rules of whatever group and the family, whatever rules you've set.
Yeah, but who makes you, judge, prosecutor, king, jury, and all the other stuff, and executioner?
Well, that's what it's given to each of us to judge for ourselves, right?
I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate.
Absolutely. Great questions.
Or actually, I don't know if that's devil's advocate or heaven's advocate. I don't know.
Yeah.
And
we all need to take time to think through these things because we will be faced with hard decisions. If we can make those decisions in advance, and that's really the purpose of this exercise and this game, is to make those decisions, or at least a variation of that decision, that situation, make that decision in advance so you're better prepared to make it later on. So,
absolutely.
So that's my initial reaction right there is to handle it in private. I don't know. What would you do, Scott? What's your initial reaction?
Well, so for me, it kind of depends on what they did.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It says it's unforgivable.
Absolutely.
I'm like, okay. If it was a crime against a child, because I love supporting the Operation Underground Railroad, OUR, and a bunch of other groups. In fact, we're actually going to have Sky Gardens on next week. They do.
Cool.
They do hydroponics, vertical gardens, but
cool.
They help support groups like OUR, and what they really do is they provide food and one of these growing systems to these transition centers where these kids can grow, because sometimes they run out of food because they're all over the world. And so this gives them something to do, something to kind of take their mind off things, but also a way to provide for themselves, which is very empowering.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, if it were a crime against a kid, like molestation or even just human trafficking in general, bullet between the eyes, that'd be my chosen route.
I'm on the same page with you.
But depending on what else it could be, I would kind of always want to convene a tribunal. I would like to have, in any situation, I would like to have at least 3 leaders that create a tribunal.
Have something that's already set up and does a way to deal with these types of situations.
And those three people in the tribunal, we'd present the situation to them. I would cuff my friend, or that person in the group. I would
detain him, and
I would detain him. I'd say, look, you've got 2 choices. I can either shoot you now and you die, or put these cuffs on and go before the tribunal, because what you did to me is worthy of death.
Yeah, and I guess the key word is this unforgivable offense of some sort.
Yeah, so that's the tough thing, But my way isn't necessarily the right way. Your way isn't necessarily the right way. I mean, that's the hard thing. Like we played this game with my wife the other night, and one of the tougher questions is you've got a family member who's gone off their meds, and they've got psychological problems, schizophrenia, and some other things. How do you deal with that going forward? Do they present an actual real danger to other people in the group? How do you take care of that?
That's going to be a huge concern when people are no longer able to get their meds.
Oh yeah. So what would you do in that scenario?
Oh man, I'm familiar with this situation. I've got some of that in my family. I don't know. I honestly haven't thought about that much, which I need to. So that's a great question. Well, there's our music.
Listeners, what would you do in that situation? Call in after the break and tell us your thoughts. As a reminder, we're brought to you by Survival Medical, the toughest first aid kits in the world. They last 20 years. Amazing. That's what I carry in my car. That's what Shane carries in his car. We'll be right back after the break. You're listening to K-Talk Radio. That's KTKK a.m. 6:30. Tune in at ktalkmedia.com, our fresh new website.
All new K-Talk Media. Online at ktalkmedia.com.
Welcome to the dance party, the post-apocalyptic nightclub. You're listening to K-Talk Radio, and more specifically, Prepper Talk Radio. We're excited. We love doing this show. We love the callers. We love you guys participating. Last week we had a caller call in and tell her that this is the show she looks forward to every week. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
those kind
awesome.
words. We don't get paid to do this. We do this because we feel like there's a need, and we love it.
Mm-hmm.
So today,
Absolutely.
what we're doing, let me go back real quick. Make sure you check out our website and download the app. Go to ktalkmedia.com and get involved. It tracks kind of the listeners, what's going on, does push notifications if you want it to. And then we have our text in line, so you can text in and
That's right. I keep
participate
forgetting
in
about
polls. The number for that is 727-888-2777. Pretty cool technologies. And then you can follow us on Facebook at KTKKK Talk and Prepper Talk Radio.
that. Yep. And don't forget that about the archives. You can go back and listen to anybody's show, including our own. We also take video of our show and we put it on Prepper Talk TV.
Mm-hmm. On YouTube.
Prepper Talk Radio on YouTube and PrepperCon TV, I get confused,
Yeah, PrepperCon
on
TV.
YouTube, so you can see them there, as well as we share those on our Facebook links and so forth, Facebook pages. And so, we appreciate your support, because that's really all we get. We get your support. We see your clicks. We see how much you like our posts and such, and that's, it boosts our spirits and sees that, maybe we are making a difference, so we appreciate that.
And send us questions through those medias, especially
Absolutely.
through Facebook. Get on the Facebook page, ask us questions, and give us topics that you want us to cover in the preparedness world, and we'll put those into rotation as we go forward, just so that we're answering the questions that you really want answered. That's what we really
Absolutely.
want to
That'd be
do.
great.
We spend a lot of time putting together shows every week, putting together content, going through, for example, with Conflicted, we went through the deck, we picked the ones that are kind of the tougher ones, that would make you think. We want you to think. We want you to be proactive in your preparedness.
And although you may never come across the situation, it would at least start to awaken your mind as to the possibilities of what maybe a post-apocalyptic, I don't even like to call it that, but a life different than when we know it, which is surely coming. Things are changing, and so situations are changing, and so your decisions are going to be different. That's the most difficult thing, is to make good choices.
Yep.
And we just hope to maybe help enlighten you and ourselves, too. This is a learning experience for us, too.
So, you've got a card in your hand.
I got
I'm
another.
curious.
Yep, okay, here we go. 3 suspicious men approach your home seeking shelter, but you didn't have enough food or water to take them in. You had to turn them away. After talking, and as they turn to leave, you have the sinking feeling in your gut that they will be back when you least expect and try to loot your home. You would be at a severe disadvantage then, since they could overwhelm you if they caught you by surprise. Now is the only chance to take them out the easy way, even though they haven't openly posed a threat to you and your family. Would you murder them now, or would you let them go and take the risk of being killed by them later?
I hate this game.
I know.
That's
it's
such a
terrible.
crappy question.
And I need to read better. Ugh. So,
Okay,
yeah.
so the scenario is 3 suspicious people show up.
Yes.
Guys, gals, whatever. You don't have enough food. You've got shelter, but you don't have enough food to take care
Right,
of
a resource. Yeah.
right? And then so you're short on resources, water, food, whatever else. But they're like, "Hey, help us."
Mm-hmm.
But you've got the sinking feeling that they're like, "We're going to take everything you've got and harm you later."
Yep. What would you do, Scott?
Oh, I've got a family to protect. I'm half tempted to just off them all, and that's so evil.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's evil. That's just so that's nerve wracking for me to have to answer that question and be like, "Okay, what would I do? Would I just kill somebody?" I want to say no. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But part of me is like, I better do that. From a strategic standpoint, I'm like, I kind of want to get one of my CIA buddies on the phone and have him tell us what he thinks.
Mm-hmm. Well,
actually, we've got a caller. Let's
okay,
see if
cool.
they'll answer that question. Hey, thanks for calling K-Talk. You're on the air. Do you have an answer for that question?
I do.
Oh, awesome.
The answer is to let them go, because you want the Lord's help. And if you simply kill someone on suspicion, you'll deprive yourself of the Lord's help.
Amen.
If they're going to come back and kill you, the Lord, and you don't actually get them on suspicion, because you've let them go, you now have the power to draw on the heavens to ask for protection.
Absolutely.
I agree with that. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I think a lot of these questions are meant to bring up those responses. Okay, exactly. This isn't just about physical survival; it's about spiritual survival, about being a human being, and not becoming an animal. In those types of situations. So, and I would go even to a step beyond and go contrary to what the card says. Even if I had very little, I would still find something to give them. And then, like you say, at that point, I would garner maybe even more blessings, so that we could continue on. So this is all very spiritual to me.
Hey, thank you for your thought. I never thought of that part of actually giving them some food, even though you don't have any to give.
Yeah, well, it's like the widow's mite. It's plenty of examples in the Bible.
What's the example in the Bible where she was making her last loaf of bread?
With the widow of Zarephath and Elijah.
Zarephath,
when Elijah comes to the widow of Zarephath and says, "Make for me first, before you make for yourself and your son," so that she was going to use the last of her meal, the last of her oil, to make for her and her son. And then Elijah came to her and said, "Make for me first," and she did, and they were both blessed. And the meal did not waste, and the cruse of oil didn't fail, and they ate for many days. So I believe in that.
That's awesome.
I mean, that's opposite what this card's saying, but, who cares?
Well, no, the card's not saying that.
Well,
it's just saying
you turned them away. It's
saying
you turned them away because you didn't have food.
That's true.
So I believe if you give, even with what little you have, that your meal won't waste. Your cruse of oil won't fail.
So this is a great question. This is the follow-up to that. This is a card I read last night, and it said you kind of stumbled across, it's just you and your wife and your kids, and you've stumbled across a bus, a prison bus, that had wrecked on the side of the road. The grid's down. It's been a little while, a week, and this bus was a transport trying to get them these guys to a place where they could be locked up again. The bus is on fire. They're all trapped inside. You've got an axe. You can knock the window out and save them, or you can walk on by. What do you do?
Because they're criminals, right? I mean, they probably deserve to die anyway, right?
Well,
I'm being facetious.
Interesting, right? But it poses a real, true threat to you. But I kind of, my wife and I talked about it last night, and I was leaning towards rescue them. But there was a little part of me that's like they're criminals. What do I do? But that's just because that's the way society's programmed us. That they can't be fixed. That they can't have gratitude.
Yeah. Who knows? You don't know. You can't pass judgment on them, what they did, or why they're in there. Or
so, what would you do, caller?
Actually, it would depend on how much knowledge I had of the court case and the crime. If I didn't have very much knowledge, I would simply give them the benefit of the doubt.
Absolutely.
If I had really a good knowledge and it was a thorough knowledge, and what I knew was not favorable, I would let him die.
Well, it's a whole bus full.
Yeah, a whole bus full of...
That kind of changes the scenario a little bit.
If it's a whole bus full, then I'd have to be merciful because I can't possibly know the story of everybody in there.
Yeah.
So I'd be merciful.
Stand back and be prepared, and I agree with you. That's what I would do.
I do too. Awesome. Thank you so much for your input.
Thanks for your call. Appreciate it. All right, is it my turn or your turn?
Well, no, I was just going to continue on that one for a second.
Cool.
It was just like, so last night our discussion on that one kind of went to, okay, let them go, but kind of stand back and let them kind of run off, and then you go your own way, hopefully opposite of where they're going.
And that's also a whole lot of mouths potentially to feed, right? I mean,
right,
because they don't have any resources. They're stuck on a bus.
Overpower you to take the resources you have left, and so
they
it's like
easily could overpower you.
So you'd hope that they would be so grateful that you saved their life, that you spared them, that they move on.
That humanity comes out in them, and like again, we can't pass judgment on whether they're kind people or not. I mean, they're just in a prison bus.
They could all be guys that they shoplifted when they were hungry, and then that's all it was. Right.
Very well. Could be. Right. Next card, or
I'm trying to think it's your turn or my turn. But so here's another one that kind of goes along those similar scenarios. So say that it's been 6 months since a major epidemic. A lot of people have died. Grid's still questionable. It's kind of coming back. But one of your one of your family members has joined the local authority who's
Okay.
reestablishing a government, and they knock on and they're going around knocking on everyone's doors, taking food, water, and all the weapons away,
Exercising executive orders.
exercising some type of executive order. It's a martial law type situation.
Right.
And they're taking all these things back. And your brother-in-law or sister-in-law, whoever this is,
Join the.
or brother or sister, a family member, they know what you have.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, if you don't give it all,
Oh, man.
I'm turning you in, and that means you go to prison and are possibly killed. And then your family goes without either way.
Dude, that's way too hard.
What do you do?
That's a tough question. Holy cow. Boy,
Problem is, I love my family on both sides. and
yeah, exactly.
Some of them annoy me, but I'm like, oh.
Well, haven't you seen? What's the movie? The Hills
Mad
Are
Max?
Alive with the Sound of Music. The Sound of Music. There we
Okay,
go.
Sound of Music.
Yeah, like with that the boy turns him in, and unfortunately they're able to escape. But that is a tough one. I don't know if I can answer that one right now, but you got me thinking. Definitely. I would probably kidnap that person and hold them and keep them away from that situation. Like if they say that, okay, you're done. I'm taking you out. I'm not going to kill you. I'm not going to kill. I'm going to
Take them out of the equation.
Take him out of the equation.
Well, now the equation is now you're feeding that person and keeping them
Yep.
alive in your basement.
I realize that. That's the price I'm going to have to pay for blabbing, I guess, right?
So would
For-
you gag them? I mean, because if someone else comes
Probably
to search
initially,
your
yeah.
house,
Go gag them and then stick them in the basement corner somewhere or something like that. Yeah, I don't know.
because I'm sure if you get caught, I mean, that's now a government official.
That's true.
You're holding a government official hostage. So there's an even bigger
Yeah,
like repercussions,
yeah.
right?
That's true.
But we also have to remember this is a survival situation. So that the reason we ask these
That's
questions
true.
is to really get you thinking and go, oh, I've never thought of this. What would I do?
And then also to point out, okay, do I really want to compromise my situation, what I have and my resources and so forth by, letting my cousin know because I want him to get prepared.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of implications there.
Well, here's another one. Is you're in a catch-22 scenario, right? With that person,
Mm-hmm.
And I tried to think of, okay, in my family, who would be the one that would do that?
Right. Yeah.
And I quickly identified who I thought that would be, and I'm like,
yeah, I think I
crap.
have an idea too.
So then you have to figure out, okay, how do I address that with that person? Because that person's going to handle things a little differently than I would. Well, not a little differently, a lot differently. But then you have to try to figure out how to handle that. And so, okay, do I put that person in a position where now they're bound and gagged in my basement? And I still profess to say, well, I love you, but you're trying to hurt my family. I can't
let you do that.
Can't let you do that. But then now that puts their immediate family in danger, their kids and spouse.
More obligations for you to.
And where are they at? And then who's going to take care of them while
Well, the government's going to take care of them, obviously, right?
Well, are they of any use anymore? Because now the employee is gone. The government lackey is gone.
No, that's
so
true. Yeah.
that's a whole new
That's
set
a
of
whole
questions.
new-
Okay, now I've got to split all my resources with those people, but I'd rather split my resources with those people that I love, than with a government that's just going to take
just
them
take
and
it
not
all.
give me
Yeah.
anything back.
Yeah, give
You know?
you your dole back.
Oh man, it's
Tough question.
it's a tough call either way. So you've got another one.
Yep,
ready to
I got
go.
another one right here. Okay. You see a large mob breaking into your neighbor's house. You know he is there and his wife and children. You have about 24 rounds of ammo, roughly one for each mob member. You are the only person capable of defending your own family. The mob passed your house and didn't notice you at all. Would you step out of the shadows and risk your own life to help your neighbor, or would you stay safe and protect your own family? And why?
I would open fire. I love my neighbors. They're so awesome. I honestly, I would not hesitate because they don't know how much ammunition I have, and the reality is I have a lot more than 24. But in this scenario,
exactly. In this scenario, you only have enough.
That's all I have.
That's all you have.
So yeah, I would
So
open
you risk
fire.
your life to go out into the open and bet your skills and your training on being able to defend your neighbor's family.
Well, it didn't say what weapon I have.
No.
It didn't say what caliber. So I'm assuming it's my AR.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
if it's my neighborhood, I've got plenty of vantage points, tactical points that I could stand in
So you got a dozen.
that would give me cover while I try to fend
Okay.
off a mob at
Absolutely.
my neighbor's door. Now, some people would get in. That's almost a guarantee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what if you have to? I mean, it kind of sounds like you have to go into your neighbor's house to help fend off this mob, to get this mob out.
Eventually, I probably would have to, but I'd be able to take out at least 6 of them at the door. You know,
And hopefully, at that point, they would run. The rest of them
Yeah.
would run because they are a mob. They're scared.
yeah, I'd grab my kukri, which is like a short sword.
But all you have is a dozen rounds or so.
No, that's all it's telling me that I have.
Yeah.
As far as ammunition,
Okay.
it's not specifying if I have
Okay.
a pocket knife or a kukri on my hip
Or a
belt.
club or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, or I even have I just forgot the name of them. I even have Samoan war clubs
Oh yeah.
in my house.
Scare the heck out of them.
Those things are brutal.
Mm-hmm.
That if I started doing the hawk in my front yard, they'd probably just shoot me. But that'd be kind of fun. Okay, we got a caller. Let's
cool.
take this. Hey, caller, thanks for joining K-Talk. Do you have an answer for that question?
Not for that one. I was going to elaborate on the one before
Yeah, please
about
do.
the prison bus when you can fit me in.
Absolutely. Please do
Let's
go right
go
ahead.
go right into it.
So, suppose that it was a bus full of political prisoners of the same persuasion as your political thinking, and you left them burn.
There you go.
So that might be the hand of Providence setting free
Absolutely. No, that's a great
a batch
perspective.
of fellow sojourners.
Hey, we're running into a break. If you want to hang on the line, or you can call
I
back
can't
when you
hang
join.
over, but it's always better to err on the side of mercy.
I like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, great perspective. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Hey, we're running to a break. You're listening to K-Talk Radio, sponsored by survival-medical.com. Check them out online for the best survival medical gear you can find.
Live from the top of the Rocky Mountains.
Welcome back to Prepper Talk Radio. You are listening to K-Talk. That's KTKK AM 630. Head over to ktalkmedia.com. Download the app and take us everywhere you go. That's actually the cleanest, clearest broadcast. You can also access all of our old shows on the archive and follow us on Facebook. We have a lot of fun here in the show. We're going through Conflicted, the card game. It's a fun and really weird
Yeah.
kind of test for yourself and the people that you spend your time with prepping.
And if you think about it, if there are people who you're thinking about maybe bringing into your group,
This is a great
this
way
is a
to
great way
interview.
to interview them and test them and say, what would you do in this situation? So that you can have like-minded people in your group with you. And also, honestly, when I first got this, I sat down with my girls. And I was a little concerned with my daughter, my 3 oldest daughters, and my wife, and asked them some of these questions. And I thought they'd be freaking out, but they really weren't. They were
And
they,
like
they
a
were
champ.
no, they thought it was really interesting. We talked about it and had a really great conversation. So I think it's a great way also to just kind of prep your family and maybe even your neighbors and friends on kind of your mindset, and well, this is my mindset anyway, and what I would do in a particular situation. A very difficult.
Very difficult. Yeah, we've talked a lot about moral situations with mostly including death right now, but that's not the whole focus of the game. So some of the other cards, and here's one that I liked. It's there's been a collapse. All the grocery stores and all the little mini marts have been ransacked. Everyone's grabbed what they could. Your family's running out of food. Where would you go, or what would you do to find more food without harming anybody? No physical harm, no death, no. What would you do? How could you find more food?
I think at that point, obviously, you've lost all your pride and your hope is probably really trailing off, and you're probably losing faith, and at that point, it really comes kind of going door to door, I think, and asking for help. And kind of like our last question is, you hope these people have the same mentality as you, is that if they give, they'll receive, and that can be a very humbling experience, as well as you can gain a lot of gratitude through that type of experience, and teach your kids that lesson as well. So that's probably what I would do, is just go to neighbors and friends, and I hope to be a resource for my family in
Yeah.
that situation. So
Absolutely.
that's first. So hopefully you would know if a particular family had a certain amount of resources and go to them first, because that's who we should go to first. We should go to family and friends first.
Absolutely.
And then hopefully we've gained a good enough rapport with our neighbors and friends that we could all work together.
Don't answer this. But what if your family and friends and your neighbors had passed away, and the numbers in your community were smaller? Think about that for a second. I'm going to bring on this caller. Hey, thanks for joining in on the conversation here at K-Talk. Did you have a question or an answer for that question?
I got the answer.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Go down to Jordan River and start shooting ducks and geese.
No,
Well, here's the tough thing though: is in Utah we have an unproportionate number of hunters compared to a lot of the other states. We have a ton of hunters. How much competition is there already going on down there?
Oh, there'd be a ton, but there's a lot of wildlife there, and as fast as it's happened, you got to get down there. There'd be birds still flying in. You go to the waterfowl management area here, Farmington Bay. How much competition you got there, and you're still knocking them down.
huge area. Yeah.
I think that's a really brilliant idea. What are some other ideas that you may have that would work for food solutions?
Live traps on your property. Put out live traps and start getting some traps going.
And I think everything you've mentioned, it's going to take some practice. So you better start learning now. Get yourself the appropriate shotgun to go hunt waterfowl, and some snares, and learn how to trap.
Oh yeah, I actually like that. A lot of people don't think about trapping.
That's true.
A lot of people think I'm going to go take down an elk. I'm going to go take down a deer. But the reality of that is very slim in an
You can get
apocalyptic
rabbits,
scenario.
raccoons, skunks.
Well, and
I
you can
mean,
even make clothing out of the fur of these animals. I mean,
Utilize
get
all
enough
the
rabbits
resources.
together, boom, you've got some really nice, comfortable, moccasins. They're not the most durable, but man, they're
You ever
warm.
eat porcupine?
Oh yeah, porcupine.
Oh, that's true.
It's actually pretty good meat.
Yeah, when you get to that situation, you're going to become really resourceful and try and use every little bit of that animal and every kind of resource you can find. So,
Now you got sewing needles for
Yeah.
days too.
yeah, it's true. And blow darts.
Barter items.
Blow darts.
Yeah, blow darts.
That's why I kind of, I don't know, last couple of years I've been just getting on growing my own food, animals and stuff like
Yeah.
rabbits. It's amazing breeding rabbits.
Yeah, absolutely.
The cool thing about rabbits, my brother-in-law's got rabbits, and I don't have them because I know how much meat he can produce, and we kind of work together on things. But you can actually produce more meat from a buck and 2 does with rabbits than you can with cattle.
Or chickens or anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, but rabbits, they produce so quickly, and that you can actually produce more meat in a year than you can with cattle.
Wow.
I swear, every time they give birth, he's chasing them around in a circle, and they have another nest built already, and
Yeah.
they're breeding more. So,
Well, they've got. So from what I understand, I could be wrong, but someone told me this, that rabbits have 2 uterus, so they can actually be pregnant
While they're
with 2 different batches of
Oh, wow.
baby rabbits.
I
at the
never
same
heard that,
time.
but I'll look into it.
Yeah, look into that.
I've-
I don't know if that's really true or not, but because I'm not into animal husbandry enough to really know. But they're like, that's why you can get so many more rabbits, and that's why it appears that their birth cycle is so fast, because they can
'cause they're-
actually have more than one
Wow.
litter in there at a time. And I'm like,
Cool.
I need to do some research because I could just be spreading false rumors. But if that's the case, holy crap!
Yeah, rabbits are a good way to go.
Either way, I mean, just two does. I mean, anywhere from
and
3 to 7 rabbits at a time.
Yeah, I think what that brings up to me, your point is that we all kind of get our little inspirations on what we should be doing. You feel you've got to be out, hunting and trapping or whatever. You've gotten that kind of inspiration, so you're working on that. We all need to kind of
Even
figure
like the
that out.
grazing ducks and pigeons that
Yeah.
are around. Like,
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And,
So
and-
what do you do though when those deplete? Like eventually those could deplete. What do you do when those deplete? Where do you go to find food at that
well,
point?
you always want to be ahead of the game and
Yeah.
thinking of other stuff for sure.
Yeah, like your gardening and such, and
Yeah.
And
use
getting
that for
out
your
of town
short term.
maybe, and getting into some bigger game.
Absolutely.
And also
All right,
understanding
take care, buddy.
the flora
All
and
right.
fauna.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks
you
for
so
your call.
much. Appreciate it.
All right, should we jump into another card here, Scott? Or
Sure.
You got one there? You want me one here?
Go ahead. While you're pulling
Okay.
one up, though, let me tell you another thing that you can go do. A lot of people don't realize this, but if you go to your Home Depots and your Lowe's, they've got quite a bit of food there.
Oh, that's true.
They've got tons of drinks, Powerades, Gatorades, those types of drinks, and they've also got tons of snack foods that in a pinch, it'll fill your belly.
And here's something also not to forget is like you say, the energy drinks, but also like the diet drinks, shakes, like the protein shakes.
Oh yeah,
like for diet drinks. I mean, yeah, those are great for survival.
Yeah,
not just
they've
for
got
diets, but
calories.
great for survival. Exactly, that's a great ones. Okay, cool. Next card here. Let's see if I grab the one I wanted to here. Okay, there's one about snakes. We only have a few minutes left here, so. Or there's the witch doctor one. Which one should we do?
The snakes.
Do the snakes. Okay,
this
cool. After hunting for game in the wilderness, 2 of your friends were bitten by the same kind of poisonous snake. You are the only one unharmed and with 1 vial of antivenom antidote. Both of your friends have lost consciousness, and they have their kids and wives waiting for their return. But you can only save one of them. A full dose of antidote is needed in order to save a life. Anything less would be just a waste. What criteria would you use to save one of them, and why?
That sucks.
That would really suck.
So I've got to choose.
You get two of your brother, a brother and a friend. You know, maybe it's 2 brothers. Maybe it's
Could
just
be
2
two
friends.
brothers. Yeah. I have to look at who's needed the most. I mean, really what it comes down to is like, and I can be wrong, and I have to be willing to live with that. You know, I'm going to carry that the rest of my life because I was the one that had to choose between 2 people I love.
Right, needed in the group as a resource for the group.
Total need. Whoever's the most valuable for the group, that's one I've got to save.
But you got to do it quick. You got to decide quick.
Well, that's what you look at. You look at who has the most skills, who brings the most to the table going forward. Because anything they've done in the past doesn't really matter except for their skill levels. Because going forward, that's what it's going to come to. Because they both contributed with family, with goods, with services.
Maybe
in the past.
Who's stronger, who's more healthy.
Yeah, stronger,
younger,
more resilient, skill levels, resourcefulness. Yeah, unfortunately, those are the things that you've got to go down to. Who's better at security? Who's better? And so you kind of quickly have to know that. And so I think it's a good idea to do these types of scenario questions so you can kind of go through your mind. Okay, what are this person's strengths?
So don't get yourself bit.
Don't get bit. Make sure you have always 2 to 3 times more of the medical stuff that you need. Just quadruple
just in case, yeah.
Go, and it's not that expensive. Just go get it. Go get as much as you can.
2 is 1, 1 is none.
Yeah, 2 is 1, 1 is none. That's the Marine code for.
That's a great point of view. It's not necessarily true because 1 is better than none, and
True.
I absolutely believe that. But yeah, I'm kind of getting to the point where now I can start to be more redundant in my preps. So.
Well, I think the key is strategically redundant. I like to have as many things that are multi-use as possible.
Absolutely.
Multi-purpose and
absolutely.
redundant. It doesn't have to do the exact same job, but if it can do a carryover where it does this job and then does part of that job, and I've got something else that does the other part of that job, but then it has its other purposes, that's the way I want to go because then I've got more functionality across the board.
It's hard to choose something that has a specific use.
Oh, yeah.
When... like for example, say pick a sniper rifle, with a nice powerful scope on it. It's really only good for a distance. It's not going to be a great weapon for defending up close. So I have a hard time with purchasing that kind of weapon because it's not as versatile. And we're getting off track, but
that you want to be making sure you're looking at it for the multi-purpose use. Like I just bought a 308. That can be a good, decent, long range protection. But I'm looking at it more for the fact that, hey, I can go hunting with a good, reliable gun that I don't really have to worry that much about.
And sometimes you need to be specific in your skills.
Yeah. And because I'm not a sniper, why do I need a sniper rifle?
Yeah. Hey, if you can shoot a deer at 300-400 yards, you can be a sniper too.
You can shoot a bird too, right? If it's just sitting there.
Yeah.
But I'm using bird as a metaphor there, people. I think the idea that with the snake bite one though, it goes back to understanding and knowing who you've got with you, understanding and knowing what they bring to the table. I mean, I would want, like, if it was you and I and one other person, and let's just say the other person and I both got bit, I would want you to think of the group and think who's going to bring the most to the table to help the group going forward. That's what I would want you to do. And so I think when I'm answering these questions, I want to know
not who's necessarily the better friend or...
Yeah, I want the person... I want to be making the decision that I would hope the rest of the decisions the group's making, that the betterment of the group is more important than the single person. The single person's always important, but the whole of the group is the most important.
That's tough.
And that's so hard. And that's where I think our country is struggling is because many of the established politicians have forgotten that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why there's so many people that are out of whack right now with where's our country going. And I'm like, our country's going where we want it to go if we start doing the right thing.
Yeah, and they're also, they're focused on the betterment of the country as a whole rather than individuals.
Yeah.
So a whole nother road to go down, though.
So that's why I want to kind of bring that focus in is when we're looking at the survival scenario, what do we all bring to the table? Play these games with your families, with your preparedness groups. There's tough questions in there.
Yeah.
There's harsh questions
Very
in
harsh.
here. We didn't cover some of them because I'm just like, that's not appropriate for
pretty
radio.
intense for the radio.
But there's other ones that are easier to handle, like just a simple one.
I like the berry questions.
The berries.
Yeah.
Or what's the most 5 most important things to do to prepare for a collapse of society, in your opinion? And that'll help
put them in order. Right?
Bring questions for other people to start thinking about. Okay, well, how do we prepare for that, or what do I need to do to prepare for those scenarios? And it'll give other people ideas that they didn't think of.
And they may not be scenarios that you would come across every day and that would come to your mind every day. It's like, wow, I never thought about this. This may actually happen.
Yeah,
and that's why these people put so much thought into these games, these cards. And I think there's several different decks, right? I mean,
yeah, I think they've got 5 or 6 decks
now.
now. One's a Patriot deck, and it's got quotes, presidential quotes and Patriot quotes throughout the years about liberty and freedoms, about the Constitution. And then there's other ones that have even tougher questions submitted by different survival groups. So challenge yourself. Get a deck of these conflicted cards. Thank you for tuning in this week. You've been listening to Prepper Talk Radio with the Prepared Guy and Mr. PrepperCon. Join me this weekend down in St. George at the Red Lion for a Prepared Expo down there. But make sure you check out survival-medical.com. The longest-lasting first aid kits. They're nature-proof, basically.
We'll be back next week.